Hi, welcome to Blazehat Technologies. My name is Tapvir. So let's begin with a new C++ program. XYZ Technologies LLC is in the process of incrementing the salary of its employees based on their performance appraisal rating. Now we have two columns here. One is for the appraisal rating range and the other one is for the increment. The first one is from 1 to 3. If the rating is within the range 1 to 3, the increment will be 10%. If the incrementing range is 3.1 to 4, the increment will be 25%. If the range is between 4.1 to 5, the increment will be 30%. Write a program, C++ program, that will assist the company in incrementing the salary. Note, the output should be invalid input in case the salary is 0 or negative, or the appraisal rating is within the range is not within the range 1 to 5. So let's begin with the coding. I'm going to create the project folder here and I'm going to name it as salary inc, which means salary increment, and I'm going to drop this folder in my Visual Studio Code. Now I'm going to click on new file and save it as salaryinc.cpp. We're going to include the IO stream, then we're going to include the conio, that is the console input output header file. We're going to say using namespace standard. I'm going to say int main void and return 0. So now that we have written this, let's move ahead and create a float to store the salary, and we're going to store rate because rate can be 4.1, 4.2, 4.3 and salary 2 can be a decimal value, so we need floating point variables here. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to ask for the salary. I'm going to copy this, enter salary. Okay, and this is the output that we should be getting. Say if 8,000 is entered, and the appraisal rating is 3, then the output should be 8,800. So, and in case 7,000 is the salary, then and the appraisal rating is 4.3, then the output should be 9,750. So this is what we need. Okay, so we're going to cin and we're going to take the salary. Then we are going to replicate this and we're going to say enter rate, performance appraisal rating, to paste it here, give a space. I'm going to paste the rate here. So we're taking the input for salary here and we're taking the input for rate here. Now what do we need to check? We need to check, so we can say that if salary less than equal to 0, then cout, or okay, this is the first condition. Okay, this is the first condition, or rate is less than 1 and rate is greater than 5. So if anything is not within this range, then you should print cout invalid input and return 1. Return 1 means the project, it return 1 means that something went wrong. and it the software reports this to the operating system. All went all okay. If return 0 means all okay. Now we have the input for rate and we have the input for salary, and we have validated it. This is validation. Once the validation is complete, the next thing is we need to check for the rating range and increment the salary accordingly. So how are we going to do that? Now, this is a very basic level program, so I won't be using functions in this, but if you know how to use functions, then you may implement functions for better understanding and code reusability. So let's say that if the rate falls in this range, let's look at the maximum, that is within 4.1 and 5. Now we have already tested that it should not be beyond 5 and should not be less than 1. We are already within the valid range of the rate. So we can safely say that if rate is greater than or equal to 4.1, that is this range 4.1 greater than 4.1 or equal to 4.1 and but less than 5. So we need to increment it by 30%. So what we can do is we can create another variable here called isal for iSalary, and we can do as isal is equal to salary multiplied by 1.3. Now where did I get this 1.3? So let's say the salary entered salary is 8,000. Okay, and for easier explanation, let's make it 1.1. It will be easier for me to explain if it is 10%. 10% of 8,000 will be 10 divided by 100, which can be rewritten as 8,000 multiplied by, if you convert 10 by 100 into fractions, it'll be 0.1, and if you multiply this, it'll be 800. So this is the increment, okay, but not the incremented salary. This is not the final increment. It's not the total increment. It's not the total salary that you're getting. It's just the increment. Now, secondly, we need to add this increment to get the total salary. So there are two steps involved in this, but there is an algebraic proof behind it, but I won't be getting into it because it is completely out of the scope of this video. But what you need to understand is that these two steps can be converted to one by just by multiplying the number with and putting a 1, adding 1 to this variable. So if I say 1 plus 0.1, and this 0.1 is nothing but this. So in other words, what we're doing is we are just adding 1 here, and that is how we are doing. Now if you know mathematics, we are just multiplying this by 800, and we have another 8,000 here. So 8,000 plus the increment of 8,000 is going to be this total value. So that is how it's working. So we can convert this into a simpler form, and we can say that 8,000 multiplied by 1.1. So it is a very simple way of writing it. Here it's not 1.1. Here in this case, if it is greater than or equal to 4.1, then the multiplication this thing it's going to be 1.3. Similarly, let's say if the rate is greater than equal to 3.1 and rate is less than 4.1, so which means that it is equal to 4. It's as good as saying the same thing, but I'm deliberately writing it that way. I'll let you know in a minute why am I doing that. and I can say ISAL is equal to salary multiplied by 1.25. 1.25 because it's 25%. So I'm just adding a 1 here. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Because 25% can be written as 25 by 100, which can be eventually written as 0.25. So that is what I'm doing. Else, else is the final case, and that is nothing but if the range is between 1 to 3, that then increment 10%. So what I'm going to say is ISAL is equal to salary multiplied by 1.1. Now, once I am done with it, I have the incremented salary. All I need to do is see out and say incremented salary is ISAL. That's it. If you want a pause, you want to give a pause, you can say see out, press any key to exit, because sometimes Windows machine just abruptly runs, it just ends after running the application. And secondly, you can say get ch. This is a function. If this function isn't available, then you may try using underscore get ch. Some compilers use this. So get ch is available in Turbo C if you're using Turbo C. But I don't need this. I'm not using it because I'm running directly on my terminal. So let's check this program is ready now. Let's see if it is working correctly. I'm going to press Control F5 because I'm using a different compiler here. I'm using G++. If you want to know more about this compiler, I'll let you know in another video. But if you're using Turbo C, then you may want to press Control F9. So Control F5, and I'm going to execute the program. Let's try with 8000. Performance rating is 3, 8800. And as you can see, the first output says 8000. Appraisal rating is 3 and the output is 8800. Let's try with another, and this time I'm going to say 7500 and appraisal rating is 4.3. So 7500 and appraisal rating is 4.3, 9750. And third is to test the error in case if it is out of bounds or the salary is not uh, a valid salary. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say minus 5000 and appraisal rating is 9, which is invalid input. So it says invalid input here. Now, why did I use 4.1 here and also here, and why didn't I use 4 here? Is there any specific reason behind it? The answer is yes. Although the statements are the same, but I'm just doing some little trick here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say constant float, and I'm going to say slab max, and I'm going to assign it 4.1. You see, I have declared a constant here, and I'm going to use this constant which has been declared once in both the places. So I don't have to re-enter a different value, figure out what to enter. Just a smart way of managing things. Why did I declare it? I've already, I've also mentioned in my previous video that this is a good way of writing your code. It helps you in making changes to your code. It helps you in maintaining the code. So you see, it's a good practice to declare your constants early in your program and then just use them in your rest of the code. I'm going to say slab maximum as 4.1 and then say slab mid as 3.1. Why mid and why not minimum? Because I don't need to declare minimum, because instead I'm using an else statement here. Now I'm going to declare more constants. I'm going to declare the three increment slabs: increment max, increment mid, and increment minimum. So I'm going to say inc max, and by the way, you must declare your constants all caps, that is all capitals. So 1.3 is the max, inc mid is 1.25, and inc min is going to be 1.1. So we have the slab here, and then we're going to say increment 1.1. For 1.1, we're going to say increment minimum. You're going to say in maximum, and then sorry, not maximum, it's going to be mid, and then we are going to say increment max. There are other ways to define constant. For example, you may use define some max value, say 10, and this is as good as doing the same, but it doesn't have any data type, so it's always better to use this constant float over this. But again, it has its own advantage. Define has its own advantage. Say if we can say that if not defined, if n diff, which means if not defined max. So if it doesn't know what is max, then we can say n diff here. Okay. If it is not defined, then define max as 10. So if I am using max here, for example, or let me say invalid salary, and this invalid salary, I'm going to define it here as 0. So, so since it is not defined and I'm defining it as 0, I can use this here instead of 0. I'll give you another example of this. I'm going to say define min range as 1 and define min max range as 5. Now you don't put statement terminator at the end of this statement. That is because what compiler does is it just picks up the value and places it instead of this constant. So I can safely say that minimum range is going to be this, and the maximum range is going to be this. So these are two ways to create your define your constants. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, press the like button if you like the video, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. The handle is Blazehat Tech. Follow me personally. My Twitter handle is Tapvir_Singh, and GitHub account handle is Tapvir Singh. So thank you for watching, and these links will be available in the description box. Thank you.